I hate it. I hate it. I absolutely despise it. Two things can be true. You can play Saquon Barkley, and you can let him get that record, and you can also win a Super Bowl. This notion that, like, well, if Saquon Barkley tries to go for the record, if Saquon Barkley plays against the Giants, then that hurts our Super Bowl chances. That's scary thinking. That is a scary, weak-minded way of thinking. What did Meek Mill say? Scared money don't make no money. I'm a boss. Bruh. Chase history, bro. And so I know that Saquon wants that record. He's a class act, and he's not going to make it more than what it is. But I feel his family, I feel his father that's like, yo, there's an opportunity for us to be in the history books, for the Barkley name to be in the history books. And it's like the Eagles wouldn't be in the position they are in without the brilliance of Saquon Barkley almost breaking Eric Dickerson's rushing record. The Eagles would not be in this position of having 13 wins, locking up that number 2 seat if it wasn't for Saquon Barkley having this historic year. So I feel like y'all gotta do right by the man and go ahead and get that record. But he's gonna rest. And it's just like, all right. I mean, the only way I can really get it, and I'll take that back. I get it, but I just feel like it's a weak-minded way of thinking. Because if Saquon or the Lane Johnson, whoever, knock on wood, I ain't trying to put that in the air, but we keep it in the stack, like, it's football. You can get injured on the first play of the wild card. We saw Aaron Rodgers, like, first 4 plays, tear his Achilles. Like, anything can happen, bro. So if you can control what you can control getting that record. That's what I would have done. That's exactly what I would have done if I was Nick Sirianni. And it's a hard, I'm not saying it's not a hard decision to make. And we know that this was a move that Sirianni made that wasn't just Sirianni. This came from Howie Roseman. This came from Jeffrey Lurie. Best believe, if Jeffrey Lurie said, go for that record, if Howie Roseman said, go for that record, Saquon Barkley would be going for that record. It's not just on Nick Sirianni. It's just he's the guy that has to make the public call, and it falls on him. But best believe he talked to all the higher-ups before making this decision. But ultimately, bro, I just feel like, bro, if you are on the cusp of making history, make history, bro. Make history. Scared money don't make no money. All right, I'm going to go through the NFC teams that the Eagles could face and whether they are contenders or pretenders. First thing, Lions. Some of y'all going to get mad at this. Some of y'all going to get mad at this. But yes, I think the Lions are pretenders because their defense is so shot. It's bad. It's bad. I mean, you have a Lions defense that's ranked last in the league in December. So going into the playoffs, because of their injuries and all that stuff, this Lions defense is ranked last in the league in December. It's also a reason why Dan Campbell is going for on 4th down so many times, because he does not trust that defense. He knows they can't stop a parked car. So they got to go on 4th down. They got to be aggressive. You feel me? Ben Johnson got to be on his toes. So I do feel like, all right, Ben Johnson on that offense, they're still prolific. Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, all these guys, they are still very, very good. And they'll still put up points. But I don't believe that you can be a true Super Bowl contender if you're in shootouts all throughout the postseason. Because what teams will do, which is what the Eagles will do, is bleed out clock. Bleed out clock, bro. And control time of possession. With them doing that against that Lions offense, rather, you're talking about a recipe for success. So I just don't believe that Lions defense can really make a true Super Bowl run. I don't trust them. The Vikings are more pretenders. I will never trust the Vikings as long as Sam Darnold is their quarterback. And I've had some friends that have tried to troll me and say that Sam Darnold is better than Jalen Hurts. That's the quickest way for me to unfollow you, to unfriend you, to block you, and to cut you out my life. If you tell me that, we're not friends no more. Because don't piss me off. Don't piss me off, bro. I'm not trusting a Sam Darnold-led Vikings team in the playoffs. Now, the guy has had a great regular season, but there's a big difference between performing when expectations are low and performing when expectations are high. That's why people talk about Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield. Oh, my God. But, well, the expectations are much lower compared to guys like Hurts or Goff. Like it's much lower, so I got to grade their stuff on a curve, bro. Expectations in sports are everything, bro. They're everything. Not to mention that this Vikings pass defense is ranked 30th in the league. I know that A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, they are licking their chops. Licking their chops saying bet. And A.J.'s like, there's a reason why I said we have to work on passing, on this passing offense. Because it's going to come a time that in the playoffs, we're going to torch one of these putrid pass defenses, whether it's the Vikings, whether it's the Buccaneers, whoever. We're going to torch them. So I think the Lions and Vikings are pretenders. I don't care what y'all say. They are. The Rams. The Rams are a threat simply because of who they have as their head coach and at quarterback. If you have a championship head coach and a championship quarterback, you will always have a chance. But I think the Rams' defensive line is good. I think they're like a year or two away from being elite. They got Kobe Turner and Brandon Fisk and Jared Verse. You know, they got some guys on that squad, a young squad. But the Rams' secondary is so putrid. Oh, my gosh. It's terrible. It's terrible. Another game that the Eagles can either run the ball like they did, running for 250 yards, or they can go ahead and pass the ball. And Hurts go for 250 passing yards, 300 passing yards, and have himself a day of 3 touchdowns. That's what it is. That is what it is. So I'm looking at that. I'm looking like, all right, the Rams are a threat because of the brilliance of Stafford. But it's going to be a situation where the Eagles control time possession. They stop that run. And the Rams are more one-dimensional. As long as you stop the run with the Rams, all it's going to be is Stafford to Puka. And I think Cooper Kupp has taken a step back. He isn't the receiver he used to be. Buccaneers. The Buccaneers are contenders. The Buccaneers are contenders because they're the one team that has a head coach that has had Hurts' number. I'm saying this objectively. And I know I got that man right behind me, bro, that, you know, I'm keeping it a stack. Todd Bowles has had Hurts' number historically. Whether it was 2021 when Tom Brady was their quarterback and you saw that Buccaneers defense flat out shut down Hurts and the Eagles' young offense, whether it was last year when they had Hurts seeing ghosts in the playoffs. Now, I do believe that if you have a healthy A.J. Brown and a healthy Jalen Hurts, it does not matter what schemes Todd Bowles had. They will go ahead and cook them. But the biggest thing is whether A.J. Brown or Jalen Hurts play in that game, which I believe they will. I don't believe that Hurts is going to be sidelined for the playoffs, but I'm just saying, like, that's the biggest key. Because when A.J. is out, that's a big, big factor. I mean, the only times the Bucs have beat the Eagles and Jalen Hurts has been when A.J. Brown has been out. So, looking at that, I'm saying, like, all right, like, Todd Bowles does a good job against Hurts, but if A.J. Brown's there, we'll be all right. Now, with Baker Mayfield, he turns into Tom Brady against the Eagles. He does. Baker Mayfield turns to Tom Brady against the Eagles every single time. I don't know why. I don't know how, but that's just what happens. And so when I look at Baker Mayfield compared to Jared Goff, compared to Sam Darnold, compared to Jordan Love, I fear Baker Mayfield more than all those quarterbacks facing the Eagles. Now, there's one guy in Washington that out of all those guys, I fear the most. So I think as a team, the Bucs pose the biggest threat. But the quarterback that I fear the most is Jalen Daniels in the playoffs. I don't care that he doesn't have playoff experience. I don't care. Some guys, you look at them and you say, yeah, you're the one. You have that it factor, bro. Because Jalen Daniels can, yes, throw for 275, 300, but he can also run for $120. We've all seen it with our eyes. We've all seen it. He don't play scared. He plays free. I think that first meeting against the Commanders, that first meeting, Jalen Daniels wasn't 100%, and that hurt him. Now, I still believe that Eagles defense held them in check and played stellar football. But we did see in that second meeting when Jalen Daniels was healthy, more healthy, what he did. Now, he still threw 2 picks, bro. He still threw 2 picks, but he wasn't phased, and we saw this man flat out be unguardable late in games. He's clutch, bro, so I got to give him that. And the Packers don't scare me one bit. The Packers don't scare me one bit. I'm sorry. They are the biggest frauds in the NFL, bro. The biggest frauds for what they came with in terms of hype into this season and what they have done. They've been swept by the Vikings. They've been swept by the Lions. And they lost to an Eagles team week 1 against an Eagles defense that is night and day from the defense they are now. I mean, for the love of God, Avonte Maddox was starting. No disrespect, but that's Cooper DeJean's spot. If Avonte Maddox plays, it's going to be special teams. That's what it's going to be. So I don't really trust them that much. I think they're flat out frauds, bro. And I believe the Eagles are licking their chops looking at the Packers. I would be more pumped to play the Packers versus playing. Maybe pumped isn't the right word because I would love to beat the Commanders, our rival. But I definitely believe the Commanders with Jalen Daniels pose a bigger threat than Jordan Love and the Packers. That's how I see the NFC. I see the Buccaneers as the biggest threat as a team. I see Jalen Daniels as the biggest threat as quarterback. The Lions defense is just not championship caliber. The Vikings have question marks at quarterback and their pass defense. The Rams defense is putrid and they're very one-dimensional if you can just stop Kyren Williams. The Packers, we know, are the biggest frauds in the NFL. That's simply what it is. Let's go into the AFC picture. Because who are the 3 teams that have the biggest chances of making it to New Orleans out the AFC? It's the Chiefs, it's the Bills, it's the Ravens. I'll be honest. Considering these teams, I would fear the Ravens more than the Chiefs if the Eagles faced them in the Super Bowl. I will explain why. If the Ravens go to the Super Bowl, what that means is that they beat Josh Allen. Lamar beat Josh Allen, and Lamar beat Patrick Mahomes. That's a Lamar that if he does that and gets that monkey off his back, especially beating Patrick Mahomes, you're talking about a guy that, oh, he got it now. He got it now. Like, like when LeBron got over the Celtics in 2012, and it was like, oh, he flipped that switch. I feel like if Lamar Jackson beats Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs, that's like, oh my gosh, the NFL is going to be scared for their lives for the next 10 years. Because now you have a guy that he's gotten over that hump. He's gotten over that one guy that has had his number. So I believe that if I'm the Eagles, I want to face the Chiefs or the Bills in the playoffs. I do not want to face the Ravens in the Super Bowl. Now, I do believe that the Eagles will beat any of these teams. But, like, we know what the Chiefs bring. They're very well coached. They're going to keep the game close. And Patrick Mahomes does what he needs to do at the end of games, and he gets it done. He turns into Superman in that fourth quarter. Right? This is a Chiefs team that 2 years ago played the Eagles, which I believe isn't as good as the team now. And it came to a last-second field goal. So you kind of know what you're getting out of them. Versus with Lamar and the Ravens, if they go ahead and beat Patrick Mahomes, I'm looking at them like, oh my gosh, well, he might have got it now. It's kind of like in the NBA too. Like if James Harden, if he beat the Warriors, it would have been like, oh, the league should be scared now. Because now James Harden is in a position where he's matching what he does in the postseason compared to the regular season. Because, in the regular season, James Harden's a top 5 player maybe of all time. Top 10 of all. He's amazing. We know what Lamar Jackson, he's top 5. He's going to be maybe like the best regular season quarterback of all time. It might be Peyton Manning than him. And he could surpass Peyton Manning. You don't know. He's young. Like 27, 28. So that's the one team that out the AFC, if they go to Super Bowl, I am scared of them. Now, let's talk about this narrative that it was coming into this season, but I vividly remember folks saying that this Eagles offensive line was going to take a step back without Jason Kelce. This was from national media because real people from Philly, they knew who Cam Jurgens was. Cam Jurgens was literally handpicked by Jason Kelce. So all that talk about what will the Eagles do without Jason Kelce? Jason Kelce as a player, he wasn't retired. As a player, he picked his replacement. That itself is so unselfish. It speaks so much to the character of Jason Kelce because they're already looking to, all right, who's going to replace you with you being a player? Not a lot of players got that self-awareness right there, for sure. But Cam Jurgens has logged over 1,000 snaps. 1,000 snaps, and he's a top 5 center in this game. Top 5 center. And it's wild to me that it took this man making his first Pro Bowl for him to finally get his respect. He's been doing this, dog. He's been doing this, dog. He's been one of the most valuable players on this offense. I think he's top 3. I think from Hurts, Saquon, Cam Jurgens is top 3. He's reliable. He's athletic. He's a flat-out dog. He's the reason why the tush push is still as effective as it is now. And I can't say enough about how impactful he has been when you miss a Hall of Fame first ballot guy, all-decade center in Jason Kelce. This man, Cam Jurgens, is really, really tough. And then when you replace Fletcher Cox with Jalen Carter, that's just, come on. I know that they had talk about, Jalen Carter and how he's a fireball and his emotions and all this stuff. Nah, bro. His mentors is Brandon Graham and Fletcher Cox. We knew he was going to be yard. The only question going into Jalen Carter's second year was if he could maintain his conditioning with a heavier workload. He's answered that bell. And so now he's allowing a guy like Milton Williams and Nolan Smith and Josh Sweat to continue to eat and eat and eat because Jalen Carter himself brings so much attention, so much double teams, it allows his teammates to be great. So when I see this man have less sacks than he did last season, I look at that and say, look, there's actually more attention on him this season. And you look at the rest of the team, you're like, oh, it's a reason why Nolan Smith is going off. Now, Nolan Smith has been amazing, but it definitely helps having a guy in Jalen Carter garner so much attention. That's what that is. But I think the beauty of this Eagles team is the fact that they have superstars in Jalen Hurts and Saquon Barkley and A.J. Brown and everywhere. But they've got some guys that the league said you weren't good enough. And the Eagles said, no, you're good for us. Zach Bond, Mekhi Becton. Those are the first names that come to mind. Because Zach Bond was an afterthought in this league. I mean, it's a reason why he only signed for like that minimum deal. And now, I mean, I love the fact that Zach Bond said, look, I saw my contract that I could make a Pro Bowl and get this incentive, and I laughed at it. He said, and I laughed at it because I didn't think that I could do that. But guess what, Zach? You had a guy in Vic Fangio who believed in you, who told Harry Roseman, get that man. I see something in him that he might not see in himself yet. And now we're seeing this man be the first Pro Bowl inside linebacker since Jeremiah Trotter Sr. Beautiful. Mekhi Becton, I mean, the Jets mishandled him, and it just shows how amazing Jeff Stoutland is. And I love the fact that you have a guy in Mekhi Becton that he's crying. I mean, look, you don't think it matters to these guys, like, all the time, all the hours that they put in, and then he's winning his first division championship, booking his ticket for a home playoff game? A guy that was an afterthought in New York? That people thought that he was washed, that he was a scrub, that he was a bust? But then a guy in Jeff Stoutland, just like Vic Fangio with Zach Bond, saw something in him. And it goes to show you how important coaching is in the league. A lot of these coaches don't want to coach. They don't. Mike Tomlin hit it head on. It's like, bruh, some of these coaches don't want to coach. I love coaching. Vic Fangio loves coaching. Jeff Stoutland loves coaching. And we're seeing the product with these players flourish after being looked at as, oh, he's not that guy no more. So again, like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz, man. Last thing I want to say, I'm not worried about Jalen Hurts and his concussion. I'm not, bro. Unless it goes into next week and he's not practicing, that's when I'm going to be concerned. As of right now, all I can think of is the Eagles are being extra cautious. The man is still in the facility. He still was bringing out the golf carts for the offensive line and all that stuff. Like, he's not out here just by himself, can't look at his phone screen or nothing like that. Like, no, like, he's still out and about. So I just feel like the Eagles are making it a cautious attempt to protect their franchise guy. Because what don't want to happen is you bring him in too early against the Giants, God forbid, hell no. Or just bring him in too early and then he suffers a second concussion, and now you're talking about, that's a month off. And a month off, you're out for the playoffs without Jalen Hurts. No, we can't do that. We just cannot do that. So I wouldn't be too concerned, bro, unless this bleeds into next week. But look, bro, I'm not tripping. I'm not tripping at all. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that jazz. We'll talk with MJ. Y'all know we always keep it real. 2025, big year ahead. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. We are out.